Hello and welcome back to Suspended Fanimation. I'm your host, Dennis Patholkis, and this is Saturday Morning Blast Off. It's a special edition of Saturday Morning Blast Off. It's the year end and also the decade end of 2019. And thank God we need to get rid of 2019. This year's been shit. But anyway, this is going to be the best of 2019 in movies and TV. So, also, I'm going to talk about some news. I'll get to the news first, actually, since there's not that much news out there. And then we'll go into the best of 2019. That way, some people can trickle in and we can do that. How's that sound? So, let's get started. Why not? So, Ryan Reynolds has confirmed that Deadpool 3 is underway at Disney. All right, finally. So, hopefully, it's going to be a rated R movie. I hope. One of the producers of the movie, I can't remember her name, is no longer going to be producer there. So basically, in order, she was at Fox before. So in order to transition over to a job at Disney as a producer, she had to give up some Marvel properties that she was producing, and so now she is going to transition over to Disney, but she's no longer going to be one of the producers, which isn't bad. That's fine. Um, it's really not that important to Deadpool 3, coming out there. And again, like I said, I hope it's rated R. It needs to be. They need to keep it at that. So, what else is going on? That's right. John Favreau tweeted out that the next season of The Mandalorian is coming out in fall of 2020. This is no surprise. I mean, they're working on it right now. They have been working on it. I think they're even filming it right now, season two. So they probably just need to do a lot of the whole post FX stuff and all that. Hopefully, it's going to be a lot bigger, and that way we can actually get some more money into it. Viking bitch says Deadpool 3. Hopefully, they won't completely tie his hands until he's no longer funny. Push those limits. Yeah, I think they know what they've got with that with Deadpool 3. Deadpool's been making a shitload of money for Fox. It made a shitload of money. It made I think both films combined it's over $1 billion. So Disney, and it wasn't that much money that they spent on those movies either. I think the first one was like $50 million for the budget, and the second one I don't think was that much more. I think it was like 80 million, and they combined they brought in $1 billion, over $1 billion, so that's actually good for them. Yeah, I think Deadpool could go even further and take some real risks as well. Yeah, and Disney just needs to revive like Touchstone or one of their other offshoot brands, if you will, so that they can maybe just make Marvel Max is what they should do. Make Marvel Max Studios. That way you can do your R-rated Marvel movies and still actually make your PG-13 Marvel movies as well under the Marvel Studios banner. And that way no one's butthurt about it. The mouse can still, cover up the naughty bits of itself and whatnot. And I think that would work. But yeah, I mean, Mandalorian, we all knew it was coming back out again. We already knew the season two was underway. And so that also is coming out fall of 2020. So, what else we got here? Uh, Viking Mitch is saying, I think Deadpool could go even further. Oh, wait, I already said that. There's room for everyone. Yeah. No, I have not seen Free Guy because it has not been released yet, Mr. Roboto. So I don't think anyone's seen Free Guy because it doesn't come out till next year. So there's a couple different rumors going on right now. I don't know where they started from, where they originated from. This one I've heard before, though, is that Daniel Radcliffe, Harry Potter himself, is supposedly in the pool of actors being considered for the for the role of Moon Knight. So, for those of you who aren't familiar with this Marvel character, Moon Knight, he has multiple personalities. He is pretty brutal, actually, as a vigilante, and I honestly cannot see this guy, playing it, to tell you the truth. Yeah. Funby's out helping his mom. Aw. Tell him he's a slacker, and he should be here anyway. Yeah, I really don't want Daniel Radcliffe in this role. Uh, I know Keanu Reeves is older. He's 52 now, almost 53. I would say he would actually be perfect for the role. Also, I can see Dan Stevens in the role as well. Dan Stevens already kind of played this already with Legion, and I think he would be fantastic as Moon Knight, to tell you the truth. Doing multiple personalities, that would be awesome. Nicolas Cage is not the perfect choice for any movie, Mr. Roboto. He is horrible. Horrible. Yeah. Yeah, I know. He destroyed Ghost Rider completely, Mr. Roboto. One of my favorite characters, one of my favorite Marvel characters. And he completely destroyed Ghost Rider. Uh, at least for the next decade. Yeah, because everyone needs to forget about that piece of shit, both piece of shit films. And yeah, good God. The less said about Nicolas Cage, the better. Yeah. So the other rumor is that Watchmen's Yahya Abdul Mateen II is going to play a young Morpheus in Matrix 4. This is the guy who already played Dr. Manhattan in HBO's Watchmen. I don't consider it real Watchmen. It's HBO's Watchmen. It's Damon Lindelof's Watchmen. And no, I don't need to see a young Morpheus. If we're not going to have Lawrence Fishburne come back, unless it's going to be a flashback scene, then sure, that's fine. But if this is going to be a main character and we're going to go back in time or something like that, I really don't want to see it. I'm tired of these retcons of things. You don't need to retcon old movies. You really don't need to. Yeah. Viking bitch says Nicolas Cage let his ego get in the way of his talent. He treats every role like his own. Yeah, he's the same character in every role that he plays. He really is. Nick Cage is a horrible actor now. He is not. He should actually have his Oscar rescinded for the stuff he's been doing. I think he's got like a shit ton of you know, direct to video, direct to pay per view, or whatever it is, movies that have come out. I mean, literally, I think on Amazon, I've seen 4 movies of his that came out just this year. Actually, I think 2 more just came out while we were talking. He made them while I was talking here. So those will be out soon for a dollar rental. Yeah. um, not looking forward to any of his movies that come out. So, despite Jar Jar Abrams using her voice in The Rise of Skywalker, spoiler, oh my god. Uh, so basically there's a whole bunch of Jedi voices in The Rise of Skywalker. I'm not going to say why, but one of them was Ahsoka Tano, actually the actress who voiced Ahsoka Tano in the animated series. And everyone thought that, oh my god, she's dead. No, 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 she's not. Uh, J.J. Abrams just decided to use her voice. Dave Filoni has actually gone out on Twitter and said she is not dead. He actually posted a little picture of Ahsoka and Gandalf talking together, and Gandalf says, "People thought I was dead too, but then I surprised them," kind of thing. And so, no, she is not dead. He does have some kind of plans for her in the future. I'm actually pretty much hoping that there's a rumored another Star Wars series coming out, live action series for Disney Plus. That's what I'm hoping is the other Star Wars series is an Ahsoka Tano series, because honestly, that's what needs to be made. That I can see. You got some gargoyles for Christmas. The Disney Plus gargoyles, or just regular gargoyles as it is. Because if you haven't seen Gargoyles, the TV series, Viking Bitch, that's the one you should go and watch. Regular, yeah. If you haven't watched the animated series, it's damn good. So good, as a matter of fact, that even though it's been off the air for what, like 20 years now, something like that, the voice cast still wanna go back and do more of it. They talk about it all the time. Yeah, yeah. I think you'll like it. It's pretty good. For being a children's show that was on regular TV, it was fairly well written and had some deep stories too. So so the final news item I have before I get to the best of 2019 here is James Gunn says it's gonna be another year or so before Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 starts filming. Not comes out, but starts filming. That's a long, long time. So, yeah, and, as long as he gets it right, that's all. Yeah. No, there was only a couple people from Next Generation that were in it, Mr. Roboto, not the entire cast. The only one that was in there was, what's his face? Riker and Troy. Those are the only 2. There were a lot of other people that were in it. So, yeah, I think the audience will still be there, but it probably won't be as popular as the first 2, not with that weight. Um, I think it'll be okay, quite honestly. It's having a rest, which is good. You need to have a rest between, movies for a couple of years. I think it's good, like, unlike Star Wars. Yeah. So, there we go. Um, let's get started with the best of 2019. How about that? So, in no particular order, I've got a list of things that I wrote down. I actually went through what came out. So, I almost forgot that this was the last Saturday of the year and of the decade. And I kind of spaced on it. And I knew there wasn't a lot of news that was going to happen today. And I was like, shit, what am I going to talk about? And then I was like, "Oh, yeah, that's right, the best of." It's the end of the year kinda thing, everyone's doing their best of the decade, best of the millennium so far, all that kinda stuff, and I figured I'd just keep it simple and do the best of the year. Yeah, I know, Viking Mitch, I got caught up in, Jedi: The Fallen Order. I'm stuck in a place that, was pissing me off last night as I was playing, and so, yes, I forgot completely because I got embroiled in something else, as I sit here and I look over at my PS4. But so the movies, believe it or not, there's not a huge list of things that are out there. Um, I have a short list of things that, and this is all my opinion, by the way, stuff that I liked, things that I feel are the best of 2019. Your results may vary, quite honestly, and that's great. Again, my opinion, not right, not wrong, not the end all be all. So before people start going into the comments and going, "You suck, that movie was them," I don't care. I liked it. That's what it's going to be. So, if you like something else, that's great. Yeah, exactly. Personal opinions may vary from person to person. Kind of like Soylent Green, it tastes different uh, from person to person. So, tastes vary from person to person, I should say. Uh, so the first thing I'm going to say is for the movies, I'm going to nominate Shazam. Shazam was one of those things. It's been playing on HBO quite a bit. It just came out on HBO recently. I have it too on DVD. It's a delightful movie, quite honestly. It's one of those DC movies that kind of brought me hope again that DC movies can actually be good. Really, it did. It was one of those movies I saw in the theater. I went in, actually, I went with Sasha. We went and saw this, and it was a great movie. It was a fun time at the movies. It was it had a lot of heart to it, and it was fun. That was the one thing that was missing in the DC movies was fun, and, having the sense of wonder, having the sense of, kinda whimsy, which is what DC does best. I mean, DC Comics, what they used to do best, I should say, and that's what this movie had. And the acting was good, the acting was fun with all the kids that were in it. I know, Wonder Woman wasn't fun, Mr. Roboto, neither was Aquaman, and neither was Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel being a Marvel movie, not a DC movie. But, they weren't fun. They had some elements to it that were good, but they didn't have the whimsy, the fun that Shazam had. Shazam, as far as I'm concerned, is the first DC movie that kinda knocks it out of the park, the modern DC movies, and that's actually awesome. Yeah, they don't call it Captain Marvel, Mr. Roboto, because, of course, there's already a Captain Marvel in the movies that Marvel Studios owns. So it's called Shazam. I know the background of it, but they can't use it for legal reasons. And also just confuse people too. So one of the other movies on my list isn't, well, I don't know if I can call it genre or not. I'm gonna say that it is genre, just because it's so far out there that it needs to be genre. But John Wick Parabellum, there's John Wick 3 Parabellum. And this, of course, with Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves is fucking awesome in everything he's been doing lately. And granted, this movie wasn't as good as the first two movies, and that was because the writer who created the entire universe, the John Wick universe, was having he was actually writing some other stuff at the same time and ended up having help writing this script. So this script had a couple of problems here and there, but it still was good. Still was a good movie, and of course, we're gonna have a John Wick 4 out of this. It's crazy, it really is, but it opened up another world that, within the John Wick universe that I was kinda surprised that they did it. That's what kinda surprises me is when you think, "Okay, you've got this set world happening. How far can you go in a 3rd movie?" It's probably gotta be the end of a trilogy, right? A supposed trilogy as everything goes, but no, they actually open up another world on top of the John Wick world that he's a part of and open it up for number 4. And I was like, "Fuck yeah, I'm in. I'll do this. That's good." No, the new Bill and Ted movie is gonna be fun, Mr. Roboto, and that's all I'm looking for. I'm looking for fun. I don't consider Bill and Ted to be anything serious. It doesn't consider itself to be serious. It considers it to be fun. I follow Ed Solomon on Twitter, who's the one of the writers. He's actually the original writer of Bill and Ted, and, he's been filling us in all the way through this, and it just looks like a shit ton of fun, the new Bill and Ted movie. And I'll be the first one in line for that one just because, yeah, I like the first 2. Second one wasn't as good as the first one, definitely, but hey, it was still good. It was still Bill and Ted. Station. So, my next 2 movies have a little bit of controversy as to whether or not they are good or bad. Hellboy, the new Hellboy movie. So the new Hellboy movie, I didn't see in the theaters when it first came out. I heard terrible word of mouth. Hey, Apple Crow, how's it going? I heard terrible word of mouth from the Hellboy, and I really didn't want to ruin it for myself. And I was like, I'm a huge fan of Hellboy. As you can see behind me, there's actually more Hell. There's like a box full of Hellboy stuff in my room and all that stuff. Um, Really love Hellboy, and I was just like, "I don't know if I wanna see it," but then I rented it on, Amazon, and I was like, This has a few problems here and there, but it's actually a decent movie. It's actually a fun movie, it actually follows the comics, and, not that I would have picked David Harbour for the role. He just doesn't have the voice for it, I guess, in my head that I had, and, it wasn't clicking for some reason. That was the only thing. Yeah, and Hellboy did look like it was edited to death as well too, Applecrow, I agree with you, but it still had a good story in there. And, Doug Jones doesn't need to be in everything. He's too old, quite honestly. And he was okay as Abe Sapien, but it's time to move on for something else, somebody else to play the role. Viking Bitch says, for a moment, I thought I might have to go kick the asses of the college boys that live next to me. For the first time this year, they're blowing the snow out of their side of our shirt. Oh, nice. Uh, that sucks. Where I have to go and get snow, Viking Bitch, up in the mountains, like about an hour, hour and a half drive away. Yeah. Still cold here though. I mean, it's like 45 or 50 or something like that. But it might get up to the 60s. I don't know. Um, yeah, so that Hellboy, I mean, quite honestly, the opening scene with the luchador, the vampire luchador, was fucking awesome. That was actually everything I wanted to see in a comic. That was what I wanted to see in the Guillermo del Toro movies. Uh, yes, I love Ron Perlman. Ron Perlman's awesome. I love the Guillermo del Toro Hellboy movies. They're great. But there was something missing in them. It was PG-13. It was not the R-rated stuff. I wanted to see more gore, more blood. I wanted to hear some swearing, quite honestly. Yeah. And, the makeup, there was one scene in this movie that, you actually see his horns move on his head, at one point, and that was the one thing that, kinda threw me off too. But other than that, the movie still made my there wasn't a lot of movies this year that made, this list, let's just say. There wasn't a lot of movies. Yeah. The other movie that is getting a bad rap is Glass. Glass being the final movie in the trilogy for, M. Night Shyamalan, and this is, of course, starting from Unbreakable, going over to Split, and then finally Glass. And Glass was actually a nice movie. It kinda dealt with superheroes in a more grounded tone, I guess you could say, and what would happen if you actually had people that did have some abilities. And then it throws a little tiny twist at the end, which I'm not gonna say it's not an M. Night Shyamalan movie unless you have a twist at the end, right? What a twist, as they would say in the, Robot Chicken world. That's what they do with, M. Night Shyamalan all the time. Is that is actually it was pretty good, quite honestly, and I liked the twist at the end. I wanna see more of that world. Uh, and again, it's a world building thing, something that I haven't seen before, something that I wanna see more of, and probably won't because I don't think the movie did all that well, but say, there we go. Mork says, "Hi, YouTuber." Dennis sent the notification late, whatever the case. So, Morks, I had set this thing up, at around 10:30 because I was supposed to be on at 10:30, and I set it for 11. So I don't know if YouTube sends out the notification when I set it up or when I go live. It's probably when I go live. So, and I did news already because there wasn't that much news, and now I'm doing the best of. So you didn't miss much. Apple Crow says Hellboy had the right writer and director, and then someone came in and fucked with it at the production level. Yeah, I agree with you, Apple Crow. There was something that went wrong. I know that the director had said something that the studio stepped in at one point and screwed with some stuff. Yeah. Apple Crow says, "Is it an actual twist? I'm that annoying douche who watched Sixth Sense and assumed Bruce was dead from the moment he got shot." It's an actual twist, Apple Crow. It's not one of those things that you're being misled all along. It's well, you kind of are being misled a little bit, but it's not as bad as Sixth Sense. This one has an actual twist at the end that is good. It's one of those things you're like, "Oh shit. All right. That's pretty cool, and it brings in another, um, world, shall we say, that they could build off of, that they could totally build off of, and they don't need, of course, to deal with, Bruce Willis' character or Samuel Jackson or James McAvoy's character or anything like that. Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about, Viking bitch. So, one of the other movies that made the best of, I'm going through the movies first, then I'll go through the TV shows. How about that? Spider-Man Far From Home. Now, Spider-Man Far From Home was again just a fun movie. It also introduced the Marvel, I should say it introduced the idea of the multiverse, the Marvel multiverse. And that's actually kinda cool that it did do this. Now, granted, they did this before Avengers Endgame, so, everyone it kind of threw a monkey wrench into Avengers Endgame, and that was Sony's intention, I'm pretty sure, because Amy Pascal shits all over Marvel every chance that she gets. And, but this was a fun movie. I mean, we had Mysterio in it. Uh, Gyllenhaal did a great job as Mysterio. Awesome job as Mysterio. That was a lot of fun. And I kind of want to see more of this that we've got going on. Unfortunately, I think we're only going to get one more outing of Spider-Man in the Marvel universe uh, on his own. We're going to get so basically we're getting two more movies with Spider-Man in the MCU. One with him being part of an ensemble, and another one with him being in his own movie, but still part of the Marvel universe. Then after that, he's on his own. I don't know how they're going to do it, how they're going to break him off of it, but it is going to happen at some point in time. So, yeah. Was the Sixth Sense award? No, the Sixth Sense was not award winning, Mr. Roboto. It just got a lot of buzz because of the twist. It was the first one that he had done that had gotten a big twist ending, and everyone's like, "Oh my god!" So yeah, he's dead at the end, just so you know. He's been dead the entire movie. That's all you got for Sixth Sense. And if you get pissed off at that spoiler, it's been out for like over a decade. What is it now? It's been 20 years. So yeah, I don't care. It's a 20-year-old movie. If you haven't seen it by now, it's your own tough luck. So yeah. Um Actually I'm liking Holland as Spider-Man, to tell you the truth. Yeah. I don't watch Better Call Saul. It's and also it's not genre, so sorry, I don't cover it, and I haven't watched it. So, sorry. And also I'm doing the best of 2019 right now. So, Apple Crow says, "Did they explain how Mysterio actually used his powers on the fly? I enjoyed it, but it kind of was a big plot hole for me." Uh, well, yeah, he had planned everything out, Apple Crow. That's the whole thing. Everything was planned out to a certain extent. And, with Ralphie. So if you don't know, like, the bald guy that was helping him is actually little Ralphie from, A Christmas Story. Yeah, that's actually him as a grown-up, uh, by the way. And, yeah, I'm really loving Tom Holland as Spider-Man. And Peter Parker, he does a good job in it. He really does. This whole thing also, this is the first time we've actually seen everyone back after the blip, as everyone was calling it, and it's 5 years later, and, everyone is, you know, kinda dealing with being back, and they're all still in school even though it's 5 years later, which I thought was kind of funny as well. They kind of answer some questions and, play with it as well, which was good. That's the reason why that movie kinda made my list. And speaking of Marvel movies, Avengers Endgame. I can't, of course, say Spider-Man: Far From Home without mentioning Avengers Endgame being one of the best movies of the year too. Um, yeah, you find out how that blip happened, how everyone comes back, and there's also some emotional repercussions from it. And it's also 10 years, it's the culmination of 10 years worth of movies, of all these Marvel movies coming together, and you're having the end of it. excuse me, you're having the end of the big bad, what happened, and excuse me, the snap, and then also the return of all these people. And you got to wonder, like, how many people, where they showed up, and it's not just the people, it's also just everything living. Everything living, Thanos basically cut in half. So you're having an entire ecosystem having to take on this burden again after 5 years of getting used to it, of equilibrium. And that's kind of what I want to see in the next movie, is how everyone's dealing with that. Apple Crow says, I think I'm the one guy in America that loved Infinity War and just didn't like Endgame much at all. Yeah, I understand. There's a lot of people that didn't like Endgame. Yeah. You saw in the drive-in? That's why. You weren't paying attention to it. You were in the drive-in. No one goes to watch a movie in the drive-in that they're interested in. You go to watch movies in the drive-in for other reasons. You know what I'm talking about, Apple Crow. So, yeah, again, a culmination of 10 years worth of movies and characters. I know everyone gives shit about, in the movie where they had the all-female crew, you know, going into battle and whatnot. There was actually a bigger, um, moment, I guess, they had cut out for timing and stuff like that, which is the reason why they were all together. But yeah, I understand. It kind of threw off the momentum of some of the fighting, and if they had done it the way they had written it, I think it would have been a little bit better. You could do other things in cars besides watch movies and text. Tell me more. There's movies on that, Mr. Applecrow. There's a place called. There's a lot of places you can go to and watch. So you probably couldn't see through the steamy windows. Yeah, he probably wasn't even listening to it. Viking bitch. He was busy doing other stuff. That's what happens when you go to the drive-in by yourself. So one of the final movies on my list here is Zombieland Double Tap. Now, this just barely squeaked it under the wire, and more for nostalgic reason than anything else. It's 10 years later. We see what the Zombieland people have been up to, and that was fun. That was the fun part of it. It was kind of visiting with old friends. And the main thing that made this movie for me was at the end of the credits, we get to see a Bill Murray cameo. And it's basically Bill Murray at the beginning of the whole zombie apocalypse as it's starting. And he's at a Garfield 3 press junket. And it's the fucking funniest thing that you'll ever see. I mean, I was laughing my ass off, and I could watch that over and over again on a loop just because it was that funny. Um, well, yeah, Morks, I know you have your thing about Emma, in there. And by the way, she shows her boobies in The Favorite, right? Uh, Morks, yeah. So I'm not gonna tell you where it is, but, it's in there. Yeah. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a ton of fun, that Zombieland Double Tap, and they brought in some new zombies too. That's the one thing I liked it. Uh, well, yeah, it's not playing in the drive-through. That's why, Viking bitch. If it was playing at the drive-through, then Morks would go and see it. That's all. Or was that Apple Crow? It was Apple Crow that would see it at the drive-through, drive-in, drive-in. There we go. No, Garfield 3 does not need to happen, Mr. Roboto. Maybe you can go fund it or something like that. So, that's it for the movies that I got going on. Now, I got a huge list for the TV series because there was a lot of good TV this year, a shitload of good TV this year, and a lot of stuff that ended this year as well. And again, this is in no particular order. So, I'm just gonna start off. The first one, of course, we all know it. We all love it. The Mandalorian. So The Mandalorian on Disney Plus. Uh, yeah, that thing has taken over by storm, quite honestly. It Baby Yoda or the child, the asset, however you wanna call it, has taken over, everyone's minds and, literally probably the best one of the best TV shows out there, Star Wars shows out there. It showed us that Star Wars could actually be good again in live action, and, as long as certain people were not involved in it, and that's certain people who don't plan shit out. Kathleen Kennedy, J.J. Abrams, Rian Johnson, uh, Damon Lindelof, all those people were not involved in any of this, and that's why it was good. Um, Applecrow says, "Man, fuck Disney marketing for trying to say Babu Frick was surpassing Baby Yoda. Not even in the same universe. Who the fuck is Babu Frick? I've never heard of Babu Frick. So, no, seriously, I really don't know what Babu Frick is. So I don't know what that is. Baby Yoda, on the other hand, he's a tiny alien, and oh, the little fucker from okay, Return of Skywalker. Yeah, fuck that little shit. No one cares about that thing. Yeah, yeah, no one gives a shit about that toy or that alien or whatever. Like I said, I didn't remember his name until you said it, and then I had to think about it, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I remember it. Yeah, no, that is nowhere near as popular as the child. The child is everything, and I'm glad that John Favreau did what he did and said, you know what, we're not doing any marketing, we're not doing the toys because it's going to ruin it. And I liked that surprise. I I actually really enjoyed being surprised for a change. And that was one of the good things that John Favreau did with this. I mean, there's a lot of things John Favreau did that was good with this. And not just John Favreau, Dave Filoni as well. Um, I'm just gonna say Dark Saber. That's all I'm gonna say. Dark Saber. I mean, bringing that shit back in and into the live action universe, that fucking broke a lot of people's minds right there. And again, this is the reason why The Mandalorian is one of the best shows of 2019. It really is. And it was a simple show too. I mean, IG-11, Cara Dune, the female armorer, the female Mandalorian armorer going apeshit on those stormtroopers. Fucking badass. That's all I can say on this. I have spoken. Yeah, some good stuff. And speaking of some good stuff, Amazon has brought out The Boys. That's right. The Boys. Fuck me, man. The Boys has just been brutally good and just wrong on so many levels as well. Um, yeah. The season 2 that's coming up is probably gonna kick so much ass. And season 1 was just really good. They did a good job again. World building, boys and girls. This is stuff that you wanna learn, is how to build your worlds properly and quickly as well. They did a good job of building it properly and quickly so that you as the viewer get drawn into it. You're immediately familiar with this world. You don't have to have a lot of exposition set up, Damon Lindelof, uh, to a world that you never really set up, like Watchmen. And yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is the way you do things. This is the way. And again, you're going to hear me saying this is the way I have spoken, all that kind of stuff, because it is true. This is the way you do things. Apple Crow says, "Was I right that that was Death Watch that came in and saved the foundlings?" Not it hasn't been confirmed, Apple Crow. So, even though that's Paz Vizsla with a different last name spelling, and he might be related to Pre Vizsla, who was the original Death Watch member. It wasn't said for sure. They just said it was the conclave of Mandalorians. That's all it was. Apple Crow says, "No, Dennis, no. You put all the world in the you think you want this, but you don't box. And you put all the plot points in the oh my god, what's going on box, and then you ride your cult following to a shitty end." Yeah. Let's not get into that mystery box bullshit. That's the reason why I don't watch what's that really the one on uh Hulu that is based on the Stephen King books. I can't remember the name of it now because it's all mystery box. It's all part of JJ Abrams alumni that are versed in the mystery box shit. And I can't remember what it's called now. Castle Rock. Thank you. Yes, that's the one. That shit pissed me off. I was sitting there watching that, just going, "Really, really?" And I didn't even get through season one just because it pissed me off so much. Yeah. Oh, Viking Bitch. I saw the first episode at Comic Con, and I actually left in the middle of it. Went to the bathroom. Went and got something to drink, something to eat. Came back, and didn't miss a goddamn thing when I came back. Yeah. That's how bad that first episode was. Mork says, "Have to leave for unplanned reasons, but my vote for best TV show in 2019 will not go to Titans." You are the number one fan of Titans, Morks, but it didn't make the list, unfortunately. And see you, Morks. Have a good time. Um, Mr. Roboto, I will let you know when it happens. How about that? That way you don't need to ask me every single time we're on. I will let you know when I find out because I haven't found out as of yet. So, another show that made the list, which was fucking awesome. Doom Patrol. Doom Patrol on DC Universe. Probably one of the best written shows and the most comic accurate shows I've seen in a long time. And just, I mean, the emotions that are in this show are are fucking awesome. I mean, the actors are good. The I mean, you have different people acting with their bodies and different people that are doing the voicing of those actors. And just fucking awesome. It really was. And yeah, I need to rewatch that show too. Now if there's some time in between stuff coming back on again. But yeah, Doom Patrol is easily one of the best 2019 shows. I'm waiting for the second season to come out. The second season should be awesome. And yeah, I agree, I disagree with you as well, Mr. Roboto. That was not a fluke. You cannot have every single episode be that good and then consider that a fluke. Otherwise, you'd have one of those episodes just be at least one of those episodes be crap. And none of the episodes were crap. And again, that goes to Jeremy Carver, the showrunner, who worked on Supernatural for quite a long time. He's worked on other shows as well. And he knows exactly how to make a good show, period. And yes, Alan Tudyk as well. When you have a great, again, when you have a great villain for your characters to play off of, then and also your writing is well, is good as well. That's when you get a good show out of that. And Alan Tudyk was just a great villain. He is a great villain. Which kind of brings me to my other DC Universe show that's fairly new here and has made the list, even though it's not done yet, but Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn is, again, one of the best animated shows right now on TV, up there with Venture Brothers, I should say. And the writing is just fucking brilliant. It really is. The voice acting is phenomenal as well. Again, you got Alan Tudyk, who's voicing Joker. He's also voicing Clayface and other characters here and there as well. You've got Tony Hale doing Dr. Psycho. Kaylee Cuoco, who knew that she could do a great voice acting as Harley Quinn, and of course, Lake Bell as Poison Ivy. And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Ron Funches as, King Shark, because that whole dynamic right there is just fucking funny. Yeah, it really is. Yeah, I didn't realize she had that in her either, Viking Bitch. Um, yeah, Alan Tudyk is a thespian. He actually makes fun of it in this as well, in, Harley Quinn when he plays Clayface. Clayface is an actor who got changed into this supervillain, and, he goes into master thespian mode, which is fucking funny. It really is, and that everyone swears, and it's got a lot of gore in it too, which does not hurt at all. And it doesn't hurt the characters either, which is great. I mean, by doing this, you really don't hurt the DC characters at all, and it actually adds to them, to tell you the truth. I never thought that was gonna happen with this. I thought this was just gonna be a nice, simple little diversion, a nice little animated series. I was like, "Yeah, okay, whatever, it'll be fun." But no, it's actually really damn good, and I'm glad they actually did that. Viking Mitch says, I think it's so brilliant to take a psychotic character like Harley Quinn and give her an interesting story and an explanation of why she is who she is. Fascinating. Yeah. And then the whole relationship, the whole toxic relationship thing too, between her and Joker, and kind of fleshing that out a bit more too, was really interesting. And they're doing it in a way that's comedic, but also has some depth to it as well. You know, you really don't need to dive too deep into it, but you kind of dip a toe in here and there, and you can take with it as you will. You can stay for the comedy, or you can actually read more into it too. Yeah. Viking Bitch says all I knew about her story was very shallow before this. Yeah. So Paul Dini had done a he created her, of course, for the Batman the Animated Series, and had a write up for her. He did a good write up for her, but I think it was Palmiotti who did a comic on her where he kind of fleshed her out a bit more. And then recently, there have been some other writers that have brought in more stuff about her, and that's where they're drawing from, which is good. But damn good show. I'm gonna stick here on the DC Universe thing for a little bit, and I'm gonna say Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing, good God, why did they fucking cancel it after one episode? Probably because of the budget. I'm guessing it had to be because of the budget. You can tell they pumped a shit ton of money into that. The story was actually really good. It was going someplace, and they canceled it. And the plans that they had for this show too, that I read about, um, where they were gonna do 3 seasons, bring in, of course, Constantine, and roll it into a movie and go into the Dark Justice League, by the 4th season. So the end of the 3rd season would roll into the movie for Dark Justice League, and then you would go from there. And I was like, you know, where was this? Why did you guys not stick with this? I understand AT&T took over and probably looked at their budget and said, "What the fuck are you spending money on?" and pulled the plug on it. So, yeah, they thought they were gonna get like $40 million back, and so they spent like $80 million on the series, which was, I think, probably more than anything that had ever been spent before. So, yeah, pretty bad news on that, but a good series, man. I mean, a really, really good series. DCU, we have a good idea that works. Okay, cancel it. But let's keep Titans on, because Titans, that really sucks and it's pissing off the fans. So why don't we keep it on? We'll renew it for a third season. Yeah. God. So let's go into some of the shows that are well, you know what? I'm gonna stick with the shows that have premiered this year. And then I'll go into the ones that are leaving us that were actually good as well. So um Umbrella Academy. The Umbrella Academy, excuse me, on Netflix was awesome. Just completely awesome. It was different than the comic, but enough of the comic was in there that, the DNA of the comic was in there enough that it worked, and what they changed worked as well. It cleaned up a few things and was a really good show, quite honestly, for the budget that they had. They didn't have a lot of a budget, I know, with this one, but they still did a good job of it, and they told an interesting story, and they made you care about the characters, and they easily could have really fucked up these characters completely, but they didn't, and that's the good thing about this. If you haven't read the comics, excuse me, I highly recommend you go and read the comics. I still need to pick up the Apocalypse Suite, or not the Apocalypse Suite, the new one that just came out, the hotel one. I can't remember what the name of the title is now. I just know it has hotel in it. There's not that many comics out there for this series, so it's some good stuff. Yeah. If they keep renewing and rebooting Titans, it could run forever. Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I think that's what they're going to do because that show sucks. But I'm not here to talk about sucky shows. I'm here to talk about good shows. And Umbrella Academy is definitely one of them. And speaking of good shows, and that are coming back in a little bit here and next month, as a matter of fact, Project Blue Book. Now, you're going to say, how is Project Blue Book genre? Because it's X Files, essentially. It's essentially the X Files before the X Files was even born. Um, we have talk of aliens, of course. That's what they're searching for. They're looking for aliens. It's the story of Alan J. Hynek, who was hired by the military, the Air Force, to look into the UFO phenomena in the 50s. And when everyone's just kind of going ape shit about UFOs and things like that. So he, of course, became a believer in UFOs and aliens in real life. And this is a fictional account of him going out there and looking into this kind of stuff. And they did a really good job of this. This actually captures the X-Files feeling that we had back in the 90s when the X-Files was still good. Not the shit that came out recently with yeah, Carter's. Yeah, that was just a crappy reboot. That's all I'm gonna say. And I'm looking forward to the second season. The second season is pretty damn good. You should go back and watch it, Viking Bitch, and see what you think, and just see if you can get into it a bit more. Uh, it's well written. It it moves along, and it actually has a good story. And there's parallel stories that are going on between what's going on with his wife and the community in the United States at large, because they're also going through the whole Red Scare, through duck and cover stuff and all that as well as this UFO stuff that's happening. And it becomes a question: is it the Russians? Is it the U.S. government? Is it a cover up? What is it? And that's the good thing about it. Yeah, you're still trying to catch up on Vikings. That's over with, isn't it? Yeah. Uh, Apple Crow says if we're gonna going back to rewatch things based on each other's recommendations, Killjoys. No, Apple Crow. Killjoys isn't rewatchable or watchable. I know you like it. I'm sorry, man. I can't watch it. I tried. I really did try. I just can't do it. This is the last season, so I have to see it out. Oh, Vikings. Yeah, I know. Sorry, I just laughed. Pepper was on her back and she twitched all of a sudden, like really violently. And I looked over to see what it was. And it's nothing. She just twitched, which is pretty funny. What else we got here? Russian Doll. So another Netflix series, the Russian Doll, which has Natasha Lyonne as this woman who keeps dying and coming back to the very same spot from a couple of moments from which she dies. And it gets very metaphysical, very existential, and very weird, quite honestly. And it's got 2 more seasons coming on Netflix. It was renewed up for 3 seasons, basically. And I'm looking forward to the second season coming out. I really want to see what they're going to do with this, how they're going to take this story, where they're going to take this story, because this story is very interesting. It really, really is very interesting. And I want to see how it's going to play out. Just a lot of fun. It really is a lot of fun and very trippy at the same time. So yeah, some good stuff. And speaking of Netflix shows, Lost in Space. Lost in Space just had its second season come out. I am going to do Is It Worth My Time, but I'm going to talk about it here too as one of the best shows of 2019. Um, yeah, the second season came out, and I actually it dropped on Christmas Eve, and I watched the entire second season in one fell swoop, if that tells you anything. I'm a huge fan of sci-fi. I love sci-fi. This was sci-fi, and that's what was cool about it. The some of it was a little too silly for you. Yeah, that's the thing I liked about it. It was a little bit silly, but it was also you had some actual peril to it, and you didn't know if people were actually going to die in it. Uh and that's what I liked about it too. And also they just weren't by themselves, which would have been really boring. But they also have this big ship, the Resolute, that's with them as well, that has other colonists, and there's other colonists that are in and on this hull as well. And having the robot be the protagonist and the antagonist at the same time is really damn good production value on that one. Apple Crow says, I love the production design, but I did not like the writing for season one. It gets better, Apple Crow. It really does. Season one was kind of finding its footing. Season two knows exactly what it's going to be, and it runs with it. And I'm saying this as someone who was like, okay, with season one, and I wanted to see what they're going to, but the way season one ended made me want to see season two. And then when season two hit, it actually just flowed one into the other, and I just kept watching. So yeah, that was the one thing I kind of liked about it. But yeah, that's some good stuff. And also on the Netflix front, The Witcher. Yes, The Witcher. Everyone was saying to me that you're not going to like The Witcher. It's fantasy. Dennis doesn't like fantasy. You're Mr. Non-fantasy. You hate fantasy. Well, fuck you all. I like The Witcher. And I'll say that right now. Yeah, it was actually pretty damn good. Um, People have a I'm also gonna do a, is it worth my time for The Witcher as well, you know? And, I don't wanna spoil too much of it because, of course, I wanna save it for is it worth my time? But one of my favorite characters is Yennefer in this. The stuff that happens to her, the stuff that she does. And, again, if we go back to Harley Quinn about relationships and, taking responsibility for your own actions and things like that, Yennefer and Harley Quinn are almost hand in hand, quite honestly, except for the way Yennefer starts off. I mean, granted, Harley has always been like this. She's always been fucking evil. Yennefer, on the other hand, becomes evil through the gaining of power. And that's where we get that. But we'll go into that in more detail. And is it worth my time? Viking Bitch says it's only because you said like 1,000 times you don't like fan. I didn't say I didn't like fantasy. I said sometimes fantasy doesn't do it for me. Is what I said. It's very few and far in between. Applecross says I love The Witcher, but I don't like that the entire first season was set up. There's a lot to say. Yeah, I understand they were world building on this Apple Crow, and I actually appreciated what they did, how they did it. At first, it was kind of annoying, but then you see the convergence of everything, and I kind of like the way they did it, to tell you the truth. And I couldn't think of any other way they could have done it, to tell you the truth, unless they did it linearly, which wouldn't have worked. Yeah. Apple Crow sometimes, add the word sometimes fantasy doesn't do it for me. It's a never say never thing. Dennis is forever the contrarian. No, not really. Maybe sometimes. Applecrow says, "VP, we're genre nerds." That's just a very nerdy, pretentious way of saying contrarian. Yeah. Viking Bitch says, "Applecrow, I think you need to go back to Dennis's videos and do a compilation of all the times he said fantasy doesn't do it for me." Uh, uh, you know what I'm gonna say. You know what I'm gonna say, Viking Bitch, on that one? That's what I'm gonna say right there. Just on that one, that's what I'm gonna say. And remember, you're the one who drew that on there, so there you go. It serves a dual purpose, there we go. The paddle serves a dual purpose. Oh, man. Uh, so some other stuff that came out that, some people might not have seen. So Living with Yourself, the Paul Rudd series where he, becomes a clone of himself, a better version of himself, shall we say, and, has to live with himself in that respect. Was a great series, quite honestly. I wanna see if they're gonna do a second season of this, if they are going to play it out. I mean, it played out as a series. It was 8, 9 episodes, I can't remember now, it's been a while, and I wanna see if they're gonna do a second season because of the way they left it off. You actually could do some, another season of it. And, I'm kinda liking this with Netflix if they do, and this is again what I've said a long time ago, is you do it like a telenovela. You set up, a season, maybe, 2 seasons, 3 seasons, something like that of a show with a beginning, middle, and an end. You know where it's going to end, you fund it, you film it, you put it out there. And then if it takes off, if it's really big at the end of season 3 or season 2 or whenever it ends, you do a spin-off of it, you do another 2 or 3 seasons, but with a different storyline. And you can bring in some of the other characters or bring in new characters, whatever you wanna do, and do it that way. So, yeah. Apple Crow says, "I'm glad I'm not a better version of myself. I'd be an insufferable asshole douche." Don't sell yourself short there, Apple Crow. Uh, I kid somewhat. Um, yeah. So, that was actually a good series, though. I really wanna see more of that, to tell you the truth. Yeah. Another thing I wanna see more of is on Adult Swim called Gennady Tartakovsky's Primal, and this is a, caveman and his dinosaur, and it was actually really damn good, and it left on a cliffhanger. It left off on a cliffhanger. I wanna see how this thing resolves. And now I think there's another half of this season. I think that Adult Swim only showed the first half of the season, and they're gonna dump the other half, next year, kinda like what they did with Rick and Morty. But the animation is awesome. There's no dialogue in it. It's mainly grunts, growls, that kind of thing, and it plays out very well. The animation is beautiful. The animation is just fantastic, but it's Gendy Gennady Tartakovsky. Powerpuff Girls, Dexter's Laboratory. He's done a lot of stuff. Hotel Transylvania, all that kind of stuff. But he is a great animator. Samurai Jack, too. Samurai Jack is probably one of the most visual things that he has done. And when you are a good storyteller, when you can actually tell a story without having to have rely on dialogue, that's when you know you've made it. And that's what this guy does. He does some really good short, I think they're 15-minute long episodes. Yes, he did the 2D Clone Wars cartoon as well, Apple Crow. You're right. Which was awesome. That actually is what brought me into actually seeing episode 3. I was not gonna go see episode 3 in the theaters because the first 2 just sucked balls, and then I saw that 2D Clone Wars cartoon, and I was like, "Fuck, that is so good, I actually wanna see now the 3rd movie." Went and saw the 3rd movie and kicked my own ass because of that, because I knew it was not gonna be anywhere near. what the 2D Clone Wars cartoon was. So, for those of you wondering what the 2D Clone Wars cartoon that we're talking about, it's actually something that aired on MTV, if I remember correctly, back in the day. Or no, it was actually it was Cartoon Network. That's right. It aired on Cartoon Network, and they were like 10-minute, 8-minute, 10-minute clips of stories of Anakin, Mace Windu, Yoda, things like that, and it was happening between, episodes 2 and 3, and actually the final episode of that series directly ties into episode 3, so we're it essentially, when you see Grievous coming off of the craft and he's wheezing and stuff like that, it's because Mace Windu in the cartoon had crushed his armor in his chest, causing him to not being able to breathe properly, and that's where that came from. Unless you watched the cartoon, you didn't know anything, in the movie that happened. You didn't realize that that's where it came from. Yeah, that's how good that was. But yes, Primal is one of those things that you honestly, if you go and watch it, tell me what you think of it. Tell me if I'm, out of my mind, but, yeah, it's some good stuff. Everyone who's watched it here so far, has really liked it, and I stand by it as being one of the best things out there. What else I got here? Young Justice Outsiders. So this was season 3 of Young Justice. They brought this back from the brink of well, actually from cancellation from Cartoon Network, and they put it on DC Universe. And they did a damn good job. I mean, they have written out, I think it's 24 episodes, 24 half-hour episodes, and it tells a good story. It actually kind of continues all of this, and it brings in the Justice League as well. The Justice League have always been part of the Young Justice, but yeah, it kind of elevates these characters from sidekicks into their own team, and makes them adults in a way. It's starting to bring, the sidekicks into adulthood, into being heroes on their own right. And that was actually kind of nice. You actually see their progression as they go through this series. And that's what makes this one of the best, shows of 2019. Again, some good stuff that's out there. There is a lot of good TV out there right now, and it's going to be hard for you guys to watch all of this. That's why I'm here, is to kind of guide you through some of this. If you like any of the stuff that I've seen, um, or you might like the same stuff. I don't know, but that's what I watch a lot of stuff. I watch a lot of stuff for this channel and try and part as much as possible. And I was looking at what I've been watching, in the past year, because I've only been on for a year here for this channel. I've been on another channel before, but for this channel, I've only been on for a year. And I haven't really been I granted, I've been doing a lot of videos and things like that, and a lot of reviews of shows, but I am not it hasn't been a lot of what's been out there. And that's because I'm kinda picky about what I watch. So, yeah. So what else I got going on here? I've got, yeah, well, let me do that one. I Am Mother. So this was a Netflix movie. Hilary Swank was in it. And if you haven't watched that one, it's just a movie, is really all it is. It's a made for Netflix movie. They did a damn good job on it. It's sci-fi. It's also kind of horror in a way as well. And I really liked it. I liked the way it played out. I can't really tell you too much about it because it gives stuff away. Um, take a look at it. It's 2 hours long, and if you are it's a lot better than Six Underground, let's just say that. Six Underground, the Michael Bay piece of shit that was on, I watched that last night, and good god, what a pile of shit that was. But, yeah, that thing was horrible. Never, ever again. Yeah, there was some interesting aspects near the end of Six Underground, but yeah, not worth your time. So, is my, chat working here or not? Because oh, there we go. I heard that was garbage. I've yet to hear anyone like it. Yeah, it's really, really bad, Apple Crow. Six Underground, pretty much the first 10 minutes is all shaky cam, and it does so many fucking time jumps that, I had a Simpson-esque moment for a moment there. They did a time jump into a time jump, and I thought they were gonna do another time jump, into that time jump, but yeah, it's garbage. It really is garbage. I don't know why I watched the entire thing. I think I was just a glutton for punishment on that one. Maybe I had a fugue state, I don't know. That might have happened. Oh. So what else I got going on here? Let's see. The other thing, I've got a list of things here. That's why I'm looking at this. Deadly Class. Now, a lot of people didn't like Deadly Class on Sci-Fi. I happen to like it. It played the 80s. It was San Francisco in the 80s. Um, I liked it, quite honestly. They did a good job of it. It wasn't I think actually if it had been on Netflix or Amazon, it could have done a lot better, quite honestly, but, it was on Sci-Fi. So it was doomed to fail from the start because Sci-Fi is not home to anything sci-fi, shall we say. Not anything good sci-fi, I should say. It goes things that go there sci-fi, they go to die. It's because, it's owned by NBC Universal, and we know that NBC does not like sci-fi shows. Heroes, Timeless, there's a running list of sci-fi shows that have died at, NBC's hands. Battlestar Galactica, The Expanse, yeah, list goes on and on and on. And speaking of The Expanse, yes, The Expanse did make the list. Yes, it did. Why? You've seen it. You know why. The Expanse carries on. It is Game of Thrones in space. It's one of those things that if you like your politics and your sci-fi mixed together, if you like your chocolate and your peanut butter mixed together, that's what this is. And it mixes in well. I like a little more swashbuckling sci-fi. I like a little more fly by your pants sci-fi sometimes, but The Expanse actually gets physics right, and that's one thing that kind of I like as well. Is you get that sci-fi kind of within you get your science within your sci-fi. I like that as well. Apple says Sci-Fi, History Channel, MTV channels not known for showing anything they're named for. Yeah, I know. Well, MTV used to be, but not anymore. I don't even know what MTV shows anymore, tell you the truth, other than do they still do the real world like Ad Infinitum or something like that? Yeah. Apple Crow says, I hated season 4 because it ended. I don't want to wait for season 5. I need it now. Omni forgot. Omnio says, I forgot I was watching a live stream. Yeah, Omnio. It is live. I'm not recorded or anything like that. Were you trying to fast forward? Is that what you were trying to do? Like, God damn, this motherfucker keeps talking. When can I fast forward to something good? I know how it is, and I know how you guys think. I read the comments in the chat. Yeah. I know you guys have been quiet today. You guys are doing other things. I know that. Except for Apple Crow, he's thinking about when he's going out to the drive-through or drive-in again to not watch a movie. That's what's been going on with him. So what else I have here? Um, Counterpart. Counterpart was such a damn good show. It did not deserve the fate that it got. It needed another season. That one, Counterpart, honestly, the reason why it got canceled was the stupidest reason in the world, is because it was popular, but it was popular with a large male demographic. And according to the Star's CEO, that was not the demographic they were looking for. They wanted a large female demographic, so they killed the show. Yeah, that was the stupidest thing that I've ever heard as a reason for killing a show. Hey, we've got a hit show that's got a really huge following, but it's mostly men that are supposedly watching it. We don't have, any demographics on the women, but we want to bring in a female demographic. So let's fucking shit can the show. Yeah. Yes, Omnio. It's a real dumb reason to cancel a show. And something that had, J.K. Simmons in it. I mean, it had excellent actors in it, excellent writing in it. Um, yeah. And I know that Justin Marks right now who's the showrunner. He was the creator of the show as well. He's working on something else right now at the moment. I follow him on Twitter, and I saw that he's actually got the storyboards up for the next thing that he's working on. As a matter of fact, he tweeted like 2 days ago that he's working on something. So some interesting stuff that's going on with him. I want to see what he's got coming on here. Applecrow says, "Man, I wish my driving experience was exciting as you guys make it. I save steamy windows for dark parks at midnight near the lake." Viking Bitch says, "All they had to do was look at Twitter and see how many women were watching." Yeah, I agree with you, Viking Bitch. There was a huge female audience for Counterpart, and the reason why they killed that was just really stupid. Uh Green Henry show. So Green Henry, I'm not going to be talking about that kind of stuff right now. I'm doing the best of 2019. I might get into that later on at the end here, but remind me at the end of all this, and then we can do that. Applecrow says that's why Disney shit canned gargoyles, and apparently also the reason they brought it back and made it crap on purpose. Wow, wow. I think Stars was looking for the audience of Yeah, so Outlander is its own audience altogether. Counterpart is not the audience that Outlander is, and Outlander is not the audience of Counterpart. So, yeah, from what I understand from what Penn has said is that the Outlander people, that's all they watch is just Outlander, nothing else. They don't watch anything else on Stars. It's the same thing like, the Twilight people. All they wanted was Twilight. They didn't care about anything else that was in that genre. So, yeah. Yeah, a lot of people like season 1 of American Gods, Popeye Pliskin, and then a lot of people hated season 2. And from what I've heard, season 3 is in the crapper right now, but who knows? I couldn't get into season 1 of American Gods. I really couldn't. I wanted to, but, yeah, it wasn't happening for me. So let's see. One of the other shows that I really loved this year, Happy. Happy. Speaking of things that Sci-Fi Channel has dumped, Happy was just a sick and twisted, demented show that was actually really fucking funny and deserved more than just 2 seasons. It really did. Um, yeah, I don't know where to go with that, to tell you the truth. Why I can see why Happy didn't grab a lot of people. It was a bit out there. Uh I like the second season, Viking Bitch. The second season didn't know where it was going, to begin with, and I think they had a little, dust up, in the production, and that's the reason why it kind of crapped out. It kinda spun its wheels for about the first, it started off okay, and then about episode 3 through 6 is where it kinda spun its wheels, and then it found traction as to what it wanted to be and then finished off okay. But yeah, it wasted a couple episodes. So I can see what you mean, but that still, for me, was actually a good show. It was a fun show. And speaking of shows that got canceled that was actually good as well, The Tick on Amazon. I understand they didn't want something that was, kind of a bookend to The Boys. It was a happier version of The Boys. That's what The Tick was, and I'm fairly sure it's the reason why they canceled it. 'Cause I know there was a lot of people that really, really loved The Tick that were pulling for The Tick, and, yeah, I mean, to cancel that show, Amazon, what the fuck were you thinking? Again, a good show. So, down to my final 2 shows here, and I think you know what they are. Legion. Legion, my god. Legion was a fucking great show. It went out on its own terms. It did not compromise what it wanted to be, and, it was fucking weird. It really was. It was really fucking weird. We dealt with time travel. We dealt with mental illness. We also dealt with, you know, uh, what is consent when you have someone who is a telepath at that point? And, is it of your own volition or is it not? I see a theme here in some of the stuff I've been watching. So, but yeah, that's where it was. The production value of this was awesome. The sound on this was awesome. The music was awesome. Um, I'm looking forward to see what Noah Hawley does. I did not see Lucy in the Sky. I wanted to, and I forgot about it, to tell you the truth. I know it's coming out on video. I think it's actually out on video on demand now at this point, but I'm gonna wait till it comes out on cable and I'll watch it then. I heard there's some problems with it, but yeah, there's gonna be problems with any kind of thing. Again, it was something that was done at Fox, and then Disney took over, so I don't know how much of it was actually tampered with by Disney or what it was. But yeah, I agree with you. If I can bitch, Legion was fully immersive. That's a show I need to go back and watch again and watch it fully from beginning to end because I'm pretty sure my mind isn't fucked up enough as it is without having to do that. And speaking of fucked up minds, Mr. Robot. That's right. Mr. Robot, of course, reaches the best of 2019. And why, do you ask? Because of the writing, the acting, the subject matter. It again deals with mental illness and dissociative identity disorder. I don't know how accurately. I know some of the people in the chat. There was one person who's actually a therapist, said that it was actually fairly accurate in some respects, and that was pretty good. I mean, all that stuff aside, the show was just actually good. It was riveting. It was acted well, and BD Wong, God, man, BD Wong as White Rose was just fucking phenomenal. Rami Malek also just phenomenal, and pretty much everybody on that. Yeah, remember, people, personal opinions will vary. Exactly. Uh, opinions vary from person to person. Exactly. Viking bitch, thank you. So this show, I know a lot of people had a problem with the ending and the way it ended and stuff like that. Not a lot of people. I was actually kind of surprised that so many people did not have a problem with the ending. There was a lot less people that had a problem with the ending than I thought there was going to be. But for me, I didn't have a problem with the ending. I liked the ending. I thought it was good. Yes, was it open ended? Yes, it was kind of in a way. And Sam Elliott or Sam Esmail is not going to come back and tell you what happened either. So Popeye Pliskin says the Darlene Elliott last scene together in the hospital room is so good. I agree with you, Popeye. It is really good. It's the whole episode was good, to tell you the truth. I like that end of the episode. What type of project would you like to see Esmail tackle next? The Green Henry show. Well, I know he's just a producer on it, but the show that's coming out next is on USA. I can't remember the title of it now. I can see this show, but I can't remember the end of it. I want to see how that is going to happen. What's going to happen on that show? I also want to see what's going to happen with the second season of Homecoming. Homecoming was an interesting show on Amazon. It really was. So I definitely want to see how that's going to happen. What would I like to see him do next? Wow, that's a good question. He's kind of mercurial in the way he does things. I agree with you. Homecoming is underrated. It's something that a lot of people couldn't get into, and it's a hard watch. And I know it's because it came from a podcast, going to scripted, and that's where I think the dissociation is. I think people who love the podcast didn't love the live action version of it, and, I don't think thought that the live action version did the podcast justice, but then again, it's a different animal. It really is. So it was a different thing altogether from what I understand. I never listened to the podcast. I never got into it. So I don't know what the differences are, unfortunately. I try and take things pure for the most part as to how they're coming about. I don't want to be influenced from whatever it came from. I haven't read the Witcher books. I haven't read the Expanse books. Um, what else that's out there that things have been adapted from? I've read some of the Harley Quinn stuff, of course, books, and of course Star Wars stuff. I've read The Boys, but The Boys I read so long ago I actually forgot about it. So, you know, there we go. That's why I'm not judging it based on what the comics that came out either. I try not to, I should say. Umbrella Academy, I went back and reread because it was coming out, and, it was so different, from the comic to the live action, but I kinda dug the live action and what they did with it, but I didn't, compare the 2. They're 2 different animals as far as I'm concerned. But again, going back to your question, what would I like to see Esmail tackle next? That's a good question. Oof. He's more of the, fuck with your brain kinda person. I'd like to see him do something like a suspense movie or even a horror movie, to tell you the truth. Not a series so much, but as a movie. He might be just doing TV and wanna do TV, so that might be something different for him. I don't know, but yeah. So that is the end of my list of the best of 2019. Yeah, that, was a long list of things, I know. I mean, I ran into an hour and a half here, which is wow, it's a lot. But going back again to, one of your questions here, where was it? Scrolling back, scrolling back, scrolling back, scrolling back, scrolling back, and of course, I may have gone too far because it does happen. The Green Henry Show, there we go. You asked, "What was the major thing that turned you off about HBO's Watchmen? How would you have done a Watchmen sequel?" I wouldn't have done a Watchmen sequel, 1, because, quite honestly, it doesn't need a sequel. That's the thing that turned me off about Watchmen, I would say, is that it didn't need a sequel. It really did not. And, yeah, the whole thing of making this just so you get a female, you get a Lady Manhattan is what you got. Uh, that was kind of basically everything that was set up in the comic, in the original comic, is disregarded in the sequel or in this HBO series. That for me is why I didn't like the show. Is he didn't take the source material as serious and made it his own fanfic is really what it was. That's what it looked like to me. It looked like fanfic. And I think that's the reason why I didn't like it. If you're gonna do a Watchmen sequel, I would say you leave the main characters out of it, and if you're gonna do, like, 30 years down the road like he did, you just deal with people that are dealing with the aftermath of Dr. Manhattan's squid bomb that he did, or I should say Ozymandias's squid bomb, and there's no Dr. Manhattan now, and how does the world deal with this? Once you've had a god amongst you, are you gonna go back into war? Are you still scared? Is the world united now at this point? You don't do just uh, a specific, focusing on a one town or a couple of people or anything like that. You have to do more of an ensemble piece, more of a worldwide view, I think, on that one. Kiki Girl says he's doing American Radical with Rami next year. Okay, nice. I didn't know that S-Mail was actually doing that. That's kind of cool. Apple Crow says it was an Ex Machina ending. Not that we might have wanted, but still the correct ending. Yeah. Apple Crow, by the way, there's a great Ex Machina line in Harley Quinn, this week's episode of Harley Quinn, that made me laugh. I know that Viking bitch saw this too, but they're in her mind, and they're looking for the emergency exit, and Clayface goes, "What I wouldn't give for a Deus ex machina to get out of here right now." And some little hooded figure comes on, comes with me, quick. I've got the way to get you out of here. And King Shark goes, "Well, you didn't get that ex machina thing, but glad this little hooded figure that we don't know about came to get our ass out of here as fast as possible." Of course, it was the ex machina reference, which I thought was good. The Green Henry Show. You used to be in the comic book store business. Is Watchmen pretty much considered the Bible of comics? Um, it's considered a turning point in comics. Green Henry Show. It's a so comic books were very tights related, very fisticuffs, all that kind of stuff. And then when you got I call it the two shot of both Watchmen and The Dark Knight Returns, which were more adult in nature and kind of dealt with the superhero aspect on a meta level. That's where the changing point was, and they both came out in the same year. That was the good thing about it, and it made people think about comics in a different way and about writing comics in a different way, and that's what kind of shifted everyone's thought processes on that. So yeah, it is considered a crucible, if you will, of comics. Not so much as a Bible of comics. And that's why when you go and take something like that, that is such a turning point in the history and the timeline of comics, you really don't want to fuck with it that much. You can, but you really don't want to go beyond what was already written in there. You don't want to change it. And that's what he did, is that Lindelof came back and retconned the original comic. And that's what pissed off people that have read the comic, and people like me as well, who he basically, Dr. Manhattan said he's going off into another galaxy to create life. He did not go to a moon on Jupiter to go and create life. He was going to another galaxy. He says so in the book. And yeah, but he wanted to do that because he wanted to create a female Dr. Manhattan and also work in his Confederacy storyline. That's the reason why this all came about. And quite honestly, it's fairly transparent. Everyone and their mother would be trying to recreate Dr. Manhattan. That's the whole thing. Apple Crow is in the original storyline. No one did, because of how dangerous it is, and that there is no guarantee that you're going to become another Dr. Manhattan. It's a one in a Googleplex, you know, in trying to recreate something like that. Needed a montage like an Iron Man 2 where they're trying to make their own suits. Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, that's that in a nutshell, pretty much. Um, what do I got going on tomorrow? That's the next thing I gotta work on, is I gotta find out everyone in the comments for Mr. Robot, for the last Mr. Robot video. There's a lot of comments in there. I think there's like 420 now. And list all those people and then find a way of actually doing a lottery. I think I'm just gonna give everyone numbers and then have at it. Excuse me. No, Stanley Tweedle, I'm not finished. I'm finishing up, but I'm getting close there. So, Monday is gonna be Is It Worth My Time? And that's gonna be The Witcher. Yes, The Witcher. Well, I'll go into more detail about The Witcher. I'm actually gonna do a spoiler version of that. Tuesday is gonna be The Expanse. I'm taking The Expanse episode by episode, even though I know it's not getting many views. It really is not getting that many views. I may end up switching that up and just, burning through it and then doing a once over on that one as well. What time, Dennis, for The Witcher? That's a good question, Stanley. Let me see what I got on my book here because I actually did put it in my calendar. Uh, I believe I was doing 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. There we go. Yep, 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. There you go. Yes, that is before 3 p.m. Ah, that's good for you. Good. All right. And I'm going to take a Wednesday and Thursday off and then come back Friday for both the contest results for The Mandalorian. If you didn't know, there's a contest going on in The Mandalorian. Go and take a look at that video over there, and you'll see that there is uh, a contest going on. And then, of course, that's going to be followed up by Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn in the evening. So both of those are going to be in the evening because I go back to work on Thursday of next week. I know it's depressing having to go back to work, but hey, Thursday and Friday. It's gonna be a long slog, is what that's gonna be. So give a watch to your Witcher. Oh, chat roll of plenty. Nice, Apple Crow. Uh yeah, Lasker. Lasker, my god, that's pretty damn funny. Wait, we have to go back. I thought we were off forever. No, we're not. I don't know what you're talking about there. So, thank you everybody who joined me tonight or today, I should say tonight. Bleh. Today in the chat. Thank you if you made it this far in the video. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, as you can see down there. Also, hit the bell down below there so you may or may not get notified by YouTube of when I'm on next, as Morks found out today. And if you really want to know when I'm beyond, just go to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule up there. It's also up on my Facebook page as well. I was a half hour late today because I needed to actually put some stuff together and it was taking a little bit longer. Did I fall below 800? Oh no. Yeah, that's fine. Stanley. It'll go back up to 800. I'm pretty sure. Hopefully. It's been steadily climbing. But then again, did they have another purge at YouTube? Yeah, that's fine. They didn't. They do that every now and then. They have a purge. They get rid of a whole bunch of people, then people come back, and yeah. So we'll see what happens. But yeah. What else I got going on here? Oh, if you're still on the fence about joining up and subscribing, you're going to see at the very end of this video a video pop up here. But basically, what YouTube does, it takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and it tries to match one video in my vast video library that matches up with that algorithm as much as possible and pops a video up there just for you. Up here is going to be Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn's going to go up there for you guys. And it's a damn good show if you haven't watched it yet. Yes, a lot of people complain, go figure, complaining on the internet. Really? People complaining on the internet? That never happens. Ah. Oh my god. All right, everybody. I'm gonna let you guys go for the day. The little dog is looking at me like, "What the fuck are you doing? I need to go out." That kind of stuff. So I think I should do that. Thank you, everybody. I will see you again tomorrow for the aftermath of the contest for Mr. Robot. As you can see the mask over there. And also for the keychain. Da, 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 da. Yes. Oh, you converted someone over to Harley today? I'm surprised. Did you drop her in a vat of acid? Is that what happened? Or did you let her choose for herself? Sorry. Yeah. Anyway, Thanks, everybody. I will see you again tomorrow. Until then, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out because you know why? We're at the end of 2019 and we need to get rid of this bitch year because this year has sucked balls. Thanks, everybody. I will see you tomorrow. Have a good rest of your day.